The second set of Linxin Plants vs. Zombies plushes were released between the years 2010 and 2011, and today I'm going to be looking at every single plush released in the set. And well, just like the set 1 video that I made, I'm going to be going over the plushes in the order that they were released, so I'm going to be going over the originals, then all the re-releases. And well, first we have the Cherry Bomb, as well in 2011 they released the original small size, the original medium size, and the original large size. And while unlike the first set of Linxin Plants vs. Zombies plushes, where the medium size and the large size usually had a re-release, the Cherry Bomb plush actually doesn't have any re-releases for the medium size and the large size. And while in 2012 we had the first re-release, in 2013 we had the second re-release, and in 2014 we had the final third re-release. And while literally all of these re-releases are identical to the original Cherry Bomb, and while the only differences between all these releases are actually the tags. As while the original used the Linxin tag, the first re-release used the Linxin Made in China tag, and the second re-release actually didn't use any tags, and the third re-release uses the Folded Made in China tag. So yeah, literally the only way to tell the difference between all these releases are literally just the tags. And while I actually only own 2 Cherry Bomb plushes, being the small size, and I don't really know which release it is, and we also have the medium size. And well, next up we have the first design of Chomper, and well in 2010 they only released the small size. Which is pretty weird, as it actually took another year in 2011 to release the medium size and the large size. Which is probably why the medium size and the large size are a lot rarer than the small size, as well, since they only had a year of being released compared to the 2 years that the small size had. As well, literally only a year later in 2012 they got discontinued. So yeah, there's actually no re-releases of this plush, and well, for the plushes that I own one of the small size and 2 of the medium size. But yeah, overall, I think that these plushes are actually really good. I really like this design of Chomper, and it's honestly kind of a shame that how rare it is, as well they barely got made at all. As well, they very quickly got replaced by the second design of Chomper, which is by far the most well-known one out of all the Linxin Chomper plushes, as well they were made for years. As well, in 2011 we had the original small size, the original medium size, and the original large size, and just like the Cherry Bomb, the medium size and the large size never got any more re-releases. And while in 2012 we had the first re-release, which is practically identical to the normal Chomper, except that it came with the Linxin Made in China tag. And while in 2013 we had the second re-release, and in 2014 we have the third re-release, and once again, basically all of these plushes are identical to each other besides the tags, as though the second re-release didn't use any tags. And while the third re-release comes off a Folded Made in China tag, and the third re-releases also tend to have wider open mouths compared to the other re-releases. And well, interestingly, there's an ultra rare variant of the second design of Chomper that has yellow spikes instead of white spikes. And while this design is extremely rare and it has barely any documented owners of it, and there's barely any pictures of this plush that even exist. And well, next up we have the Squash, and well in 2011 we had the original small size, the original medium size, and the original large size. And while in 2012 we had the first re-release, in 2013 we had the second re-release, and in 2014 we had the third re-release. The first 2 re-releases are basically identical to the original version, except for the tags obviously, though the third re-release is actually a bit different than the last 2 re-releases, as well usually they have larger pupils. And while they also contain slightly more stuffing than the other re-releases, meaning that the third design is actually just slightly different than the rest of them for whatever reason. But yeah, no matter which release of Squash you get, a lot of the times they'll actually be very differently shaped, as though for whatever reason, some of the squashes are really defined, while others just really aren't. So you just have to sort of get lucky based on which squash you find, as though some of them are really well defined and look really good, while others don't really have any definition on them at all. And well, next up we have the Jalapeno, and well, interestingly, they also included a lily pad on the Jalapeno. And well, the only reason why they ever put a lily pad on the Jalapeno is to make it stand up better, and well, it's ended up becoming a really iconic plush. But yeah, in 2011 we had the original small size, the original medium size, and the original large size. And well, interestingly, in the same year that the original small size was made, the first re-release of the small size was also made in the same year. Which is pretty strange, as well all the rest of the plushes that we've already looked at in this set all had the first re-releases released a year after. And well, that's also the reason why the first re-release is actually seen in a picture with the medium size and the large size instead of being the original, as well the original was released for only a really small amount of time. Meaning that the original small size of the Jalapeno was literally only released for less than a year, making it extremely rare. But yeah, in 2012 we had the second re-release, in 2013 we had the third re-release, and in 2014 we had the fourth re-release. And while there's actually a few differences between all these plushes, as though the original release had a more thin shape used to it, while the first re-release was a bit wider, and while basically all of these designs ended up having the jalapeno either be a little skinnier or a little wider than the last release. And well, next up we have the melon pole, and well, just like the jalapeno, the original small size, the first re-release, and the medium size and the large size were all released in the same year. Which once again is just really strange that the first re-release was released at basically the exact same time as the original. And well, once again, just like the jalapeno, it made the original extremely rare as well it was released for less than a year. And well, once again, the re-release is seen in the picture with the large size and the medium size, as well since they were practically released at the exact same time as the original, the first re-release ended up being in this picture. But yeah, in 2012 we had the second re-release, in 2013 we had the third re-release, and well, the fourth re-release was actually released in the year 2015. Which was actually really late, as well the second set was discontinued in the year 2016, meaning that the fourth re-release was only released for a year. But yeah, all the designs of melon pole are practically identical to each other, besides for the tags obviously, and well, by far the most annoying thing about these melon pole plushes is the stem. As though the stems are usually supposed to be right on the side, sort of just balled up altogether, though a lot of the times when you see them, it'll be completely untangled. As well, for whatever reason, it seems that a lot of the time, the stem just became completely untangled, and I don't really know why. And well, next up we have the cattail, and well, in 2011 they released the original small size, the original medium size, and the original large size. And well, in 2012 they released the first re-release, in 2013 they released the second re-release, and well, just like the melon pole, in 2015 they released the third re-release. And well, the third re-release also came with a variant of it, as well the third re-release had the chance of coming with a light hat. Which once again, just like the yellow spiked chomper, is just a really weird variant. So this variant is nowhere near as rare as the yellow spiked chomper, though it is pretty rare and pretty hard to come by. And well, for the final plush in this set, and by far the strangest plush in the entire set, we have the apple bomb or the single cherry. As well, mattering on what you want to call this plush, it could either be called the apple bomb or the single cherry, but for this video, I'm just going to be calling it the apple bomb. But yeah, in 2010 they released the original small size, the original medium size, and the original large size. And while in 2011 we had the first re-release, in 2012 we had the second re-release, in 2013 we had the third re-release, and in 2015 we had the fourth re-release. And but once again, all these plushes are basically identical to the original, though you'll notice that on the later releases of the third release and the fourth re-release, the stem is actually a lot longer than the original. As well, for whatever reason, on the apple bomb plushes, on the later releases, the stem just kept getting longer and longer. But yeah, besides the stem and the tags, basically everything else on these plushes have stayed basically the exact same, and they're all basically identical to each other. But yeah, that was the second set of Linxin Plants vs. Zombies plushes. Comment down below which of these plushes are your favorite, and yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please like and subscribe, and have a great day.